What if I told you that the secret to succeeding in North American business meetings isn't about using big words or perfect grammar? In fact, most successful professionals speak in clear, simple English. You can also. Let me show you the truth about how business communication actually works. This is Teacher Burt. I was in business for over 30 years, high-level business. I was actually a co-founder of a multi-billion-dollar company, and we had lots and lots of high-level business meetings. Typically, the English was very simple, clear, good English. We weren't focused on our grammar. We weren't focused on our vocabulary. Yes, there's key language. We talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, and we talk about ROI. But that's just the technical language, and you know your technical language. You studied it, you use it from every day. If you're confused about it, just ask them for clarification, because often people do make the mistake of using abbreviations when not everyone in the room understands it, and people are too embarrassed to ask. But the point is, people come to me asking about having better vocabulary, having better grammar, when in actuality, people are using simple tenses, simple past, simple present, simple future. Very few native English people are using mixed conditionals or something. It's not a big deal. What is a big deal is how you communicate. Now, I'm going to teach you some of these things in this video to help you out. And let's get into this. You're being misled because people in university teaching English don't really understand how business English is done in North America. I do. And I've been working with IT and business people for the last 5 years, helping them transform their English communications and understand that your communication is far more than the words and the grammar that you use. Simplicity is the norm. In most North American business and IT meetings, the goal of communication is clarity and efficiency, not showing off advanced vocabulary or complex grammar. This means sentences are often short and direct. I'm always telling people to listen very carefully, think about what they're going to say, not the English, but the idea, and then speak in a clear, concise way. This is the secret. Be clear and concise. I was just speaking to one of my students. Actually, I was speaking to two of them this morning. And one of my students in Europe had a very high-level meeting with another company, a big client of theirs. And they have to change their costing equation for the new contract, which is a real challenge. And I asked them about, what about the grammar that was used? What about the formality of the call? And he said they were very simple. They knew they had a challenge, and they discussed how they were going to manage this meeting of 7 or 8 people on the phone, how they were going to organize themselves. And my student took the lead, and these were actually all foreign English speakers at different levels. And he went into it. He discussed the challenge of that, how the environmental costs have increased over the last several years, and how it would affect the new contract and what they needed to do, and the constraints that they were under, and how they were optimizing the operation in order to make the increase as small as possible. So they were talking about optimization, efficiency, and the constraints that all the companies are under. He actually said you might want to get some competing quotes on this, because we are all under the same costs. And the people asked some questions. It was all respectful. The language was clear and simple. The grammar was simple. They weren't trying to impress each other with their language. They were trying to communicate the challenges that they're having and the solution to the problem. Now, I spoke to another student of mine who is a controller in a worldwide company. He's having a few challenges, but he also said that the language was technical because they're talking about cost accounting and optimization, and they have a C-level kind of meeting where there are people from quite a few different departments who are speaking for 5 to 10 minutes. So that's all about presenting. But the language, again, is simple and direct and functionally driven with good listening and responses to questions. And the language is clear and simple and with some technical terms because they're in a financial type of industry. This is what I encountered. We are not there to impress them with how great our English is. We're there to communicate the message. And it's the executive presence that is so important also. I did a video on this a couple days ago, and I'll put it at the end of the videos that you can get. Executive presence, how you present yourself, your confidence, how you have your eye contact, how you use your hands, how you change your tone when you're speaking, the volume of your voice. All these things is what it's about in communication. So common everyday words are preferred over technical or academic terms unless the audience requires this specifically. Now, if you're talking to academics in a conference or something, that is a different thing. Okay? It is very academically driven. It is where people are kind of trying to speak to a very high level of audience, and that it's a different thing. So I'm talking about business, IT business, regular business, whatever. We keep it simple because we want to deliver the message. So what about idioms and phrasal verbs and that? If I'm speaking to foreign English speakers, I typically don't use idioms. We may use phrasal verbs, but I know enough to stay away from phrasal verbs also. And there's nothing wrong with you if asking for somebody to clarify a certain phrasal verb if you're not picking up the meaning and context. I think in most cases, the people I work with, the students I'm working with, they are picking up the meaning of the phrasal verb in the context. And probably the native English speaker is only using phrasal verbs that are pretty common. How can you account for the difference in the budget to the actual cost in the last month? So it's pretty clear English. Account for. What is the reason for this? And we cover a lot of these kind of phrasal verbs and that in the 10-week transformation program I offer, where we go through this stuff and we master the communication skills that you need to use in these meetings. So you're a good communicator, you get your message across. And you'll find that in the global markets, that most of the people who are in a global meeting, where most of the people there are foreign English speakers, are going to change their English to be simple and clear English. And there is a misconception about impressive English. Many of people come to me thinking that they need to have impressive English. They need to know those big words. They need to sound like a scholar. It's not true. It is wrong. It is going to throw people off. It may even make people think that you are pretentious, meaning that you are putting on airs or you are trying to be something that you're not. So stay away from that complex language and structures. Be a good communicator. In reality, using overcomplicated language will hurt people's understanding. It will hinder the understanding. It will affect people's understanding. Be clear and concise in your communication. And it's seen as a clear and concise communication is seen as a sign of professionalism and leadership in North America. It truly is. Being a good, clear communicator. We say somebody who can explain a complex subject in good, clear English and make it simple to understand, perhaps using a metaphor or a story to let us truly understand it, maybe using a whiteboard, is an exceptional skill. We don't want people up there trying to confuse us or impress us. That's not what we want. So focus on functionality. Make your English functional. Business English is a tool to get things done, to express your ideas, to ask questions, to truly understand people, and recommend solutions to problems. In IT meetings, people focus on problem-solving updates and decisions, and often in bullet points, don't you? Acronyms, abbreviations, and technical terms are used, but they're often industry specific. And I find that most of my IT clients know the industry specific language before they ever learn some of the good, clear English language. So but they're not often industry specific and don't require advanced general English. If you are intermediate, especially towards the B2 English level, your English proficiency is probably where it needs to be for business English. This is the time when you need to work on your communication skills and the business English you need. This is why so much of the 10 weeks is focused on role-playing, very targeted language. How do you professionally and politely disagree with somebody in a meeting? How do you deliver your opinion in good, clear English? How do you talk about optimization, performance, variance, problems you're having in project management? Things like this. Practical things. Get your message across. So instead of saying something like, we must contemplate various methodologies to ascertain optimal solutions for our current project deliverables. This is baloney talk. Most professionals will say, let's find the best way to get this project done. Deliver the message clearly and concisely. Skip the BS. And what about grammar in business English? North American business English is forgiving of minor grammar mistakes as long as the message is clear. Phrases like, can you send me this? Can you send me this? Or I think this works better are common, even though they're not textbook formal. It's the way we speak. Key skills to focus on. Clarity, expressing ideas simply and directly. Confidence, using the English you already know without worrying about perfection. Get over that. You're human. Embrace your imperfections. Try to get a little better every day. Do your recordings. Listen to them. Make little corrections. But don't stop yourself speaking in a meeting if you make a little mistake. If the message is clear, keep on going. And what about listening and adaptability? Understand others and responding appropriately to tone and context. Make it engaging. Use real-life examples or role-play scenarios compared to complicated English with effective business English communications. This is the difference. This is what you need. This is what will make you successful in the global business world. Learn how to communicate the ideas that have to be out there. Learn how to communicate the solutions that are necessary. So everybody that's listening to you understands you. You get that difficult discussion, that complex problem out there in a simple and clear way. Maybe you have to use some pictures or diagrams. Be a master communicator. Don't get all wrapped up in vocabulary and grammar. By using that simple and clear English, you are going to build trust, and you are going to be the person who gets the idea across. Look at some politicians. I won't mention them by name. I won't mention a particular one. But this person uses English at probably the grade 4 or 5 level. Very, very simple. Short sentences. However, he's been very successful because he focuses on the problem that people are experiencing. The working class people who are experiencing high inflation and that. I don't necessarily agree with this person. He tends to blame other people for the problems. But he's been very successful because he uses simple language, he addresses the problem that's on people's mind, and he gives them what he thinks is a solution. This is what people want to hear. They want solutions. They're experiencing pain. There is a problem. They want it addressed. They want to know how it will be addressed. And this is what my coaching is about. You feel you have a problem. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We should meet and discuss it. Other teachers or coaches are going to want to focus on vocabulary, want to focus on grammar. It's not the problem. It's communication. We must focus on clear communication. This is the transformation that you need, that will bring you success in the global economy. This is why we focus on good, clear communication, really listening. I do insist that you have really good pronunciation. And most of my students do have pretty good pronunciation, but they do need to fix a few little things. So we fix that. Learn a little bit about English intonation. Get the music of the language. That's not difficult. And then we focus on presentation skills, how to professionally and politely address some of the stress points that happen during meetings. What if you have to interrupt somebody? Trying to do it in a professional and a polite way. What if you have to disagree with somebody? What if you're not quite understanding what they're saying? Maybe it's because they're not saying it clearly, they're speaking too fast, they haven't really thought it out, but you need to ask them to clarify. Simple ways that you just automatically have those words and how you do it politely and professionally. So you're not creating adversity. You're showing that you are focused on the problem and the solution, not the person. This is professional English. This is what makes you successful in that English-speaking job. This is the transformation that you probably need. And if your problem is grammar and vocabulary, I may not be the right person, but I doubt if it is. If you made it to intermediate level, you should have the simple and clear vocabulary and grammar that you need, because it's very simple. If you are an intermediate English speaker, you need a transformation. You are having problems either getting that English speaking job in the global economy, or you're in the global economy, but you are feeling stressed about your English skills and meetings and that, and how to express your ideas, then I may be the person that can help you. But to do this, I suggest you do that 10-question business English quiz about communication and that, where you're struggling, to get my report. And then also consider doing a short 15-minute Zoom meeting with me where we will assess your challenge and discuss a roadmap of how to solve your issues. So this is Teacher Burt.